You're listening to Wicked Thoughts, a podcast by Flair Castro, founder of DashoContent. This show is dedicated to helping founders and professionals understand business trends, digital marketing, and how to be a better entrepreneur. In Season 6, we dive into a dash of AI in marketing, exploring how artificial intelligence is revolutionizing the marketing landscape. From automation to personalization, we'll uncover the impact of AI on marketing strategies and execution. Let's get into it in 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Dash Ed and Wicked Thoughts webinar and podcast series. For Season 6, we are tackling AI in marketing. And I'm Flair Castro, your host, founder and CEO of DashoContent. With me is my co-host, Ms. Charlene Berlove, Chief of Staff of DashoContent. Hi, Ms. Charlene.
Hello.
Hi. So, DashoContent, what are we all about? So, we are a content subscription platform and AI marketing company. So, what we do is we help marketing teams and startups supercharge storytelling for their brands through content, code, community. And what is that? Dash Ed. Dash Ed is our education arm, and Wicked Thoughts is my personal podcast. So, we thought about combining both initiatives to champion AI in marketing for Southeast Asia. Without further delay, let me introduce our guest today. She's quite a special guest. We've been following her on social media, on TikTok, and we're asking her to talk on the pod about AI and video marketing. Please help me welcome Miss Kia Alvarez Abrera. Now, Kia here, she is a Manila-based creative force. Our guest co-founded a social impact marketing firm called BraveWorks Incorporated, and later on launched the Brave Creators Lab to empower educators and creators through content marketing services. She has over 180K TikTok followers herself. That's huge, huh? She is an influential voice guiding businesses and individuals to amplify their brands and reach new audiences. So I'll stop talking about her bio. It's really epic. I'll let her introduce herself. Hi, Miss Kia.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me here. And if I'm going to introduce myself in a nutshell, I'm someone who I'd like to call a human-centered marketer. So yes, I am on TikTok as an education creator, or we coined it as edu creator, and I focus on teaching creatives the business side of their creativity. And as in professions wise, I'm actually a behavior change communication strategist. That's what I do in my agency, the agency that we founded called BraveWorks Inc., where we focus on what I said before, which is human centered marketing.
Right. Human-centered marketing.
Mhm.
Can you like simplify it for us? Because I know what you do is very related to psychology, right? Parang
Mm.
psychological siya, where you have
Yeah.
to understand like really your target audience to understand then how to create content for them. And that's your strength, right? So what is
Yeah.
this all about? Can you break it down for us?
Well, very straightforward. Human-centered marketing is it's marketing that's based on human behavior.
Hmm.
So we don't like to simply look at data points just
Oh,
in and of itself,
right.
because we know that for one key example that I can think of is when you look at the same search term in Google,
Yeah.
it's going to yield different results when you look at the same search term in, let's say, TikTok,
Oh,
or if you look at the same search term in a study by a different entity altogether. So there are so many behavioral insights as to what these data will tell you, but then you also need to look beyond what the data is telling you. So what is it not telling you?
right,
So
right.
all of those insights um, give us a glimpse into how human beings behave. And I'd like to call it, sometimes I'd like to call it like the inner human algorithm,
Hmm.
because we kind of all have our own like internal algorithms in us. We
Like
like,
what switches us on, right? Like
yeah, what makes the human mind stick?
ever.
What empowers their purchase decision? What influences them to follow a creator? What influences them to follow a brand? Eventually, what influences their everyday choosing? So we like to study the choice architecture, if I was gonna put it that way. And it's not really in the realm of manipulating that. It's more of giving them the it's still giving them the choice, but then you're kind of presenting yourself, or we're helping brands, or we're helping personal brands, we're helping entrepreneurs, we're helping, our clients kind of put themselves in front of these people, and like I said, empower the customer journey.
Right,
The
right.
choice theirs. Yeah.
And you're quite an expert on this. I mean, given the deep dive that you've done with a lot of your customers for sure. But why video?
Well, video for me, it kind of touches on so many of our senses. And I think if I was gonna go back to
Right.
my to why I picked film in the first place, because when I was in college, that was my course in college, film and
Oh, wow.
visual communication in UP Diliman. Um, when I was choosing, I was trying to look for a way to have a convergence of all of my creative passions, so to speak. So I love performing, I love music, I loved cinema, I loved writing. So it felt to me like film is like the convergence of all of the things that I love. So it was kind of a selfish reason at first. And then when I studied film through and through, that's when I found out that, you know what? Um, there's a really video or film is a really impactful medium. So even when I was venturing into advertising, and I was going to corporate advertising and then going into entrepreneurship eventually, what I found is, I mean, you can also sense it in every single social media platforms
That's true.
algorithm, and the algorithm, as I'd like to, I'd like to quote direct Mark Maley on this. The algorithm is basically human behavior in data form. So humans right now, they prefer consuming videos. A lot of them, or majority of them, they prefer consuming videos. And that's because it touches on every single one of the senses. So if you're saying something that's not authentic to you, they can see it with your body language, they can see it with your eyes and the way that you express yourself. They know if you're being robotic and just reading something
Yeah.
like a teleprompter. So all of those things, it just caters to so many of the human senses. So from the creator's point of view and from the consumer's point of view. So that's why I love video as a medium.
And it's
Miss
amazing
Kia,
that,
Sorry.
yeah, yeah.
I just wanted to ask Miss Kia, so you mentioned the film school, and
Mhm.
I'm curious to know, where did the idea for BraveWorks, where was that born? Was it in film school? Was it after you ventured in, the marketing world na? Where was
Yeah,
that
I was
born?
curious about that too. Good point.
Actually, to be very honest with you, I never actually thought of becoming an entrepreneur
Mm.
in any variations of my life. So, and that's because I've always seen myself first and foremost as a performer before. So I
Mm.
wanted to be in music. I wanted to perform. I was in the Philippine Madrigal Singers for a time, for about
Wow.
3 or 4 years.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I loved it. I loved, touring, and I love competing, and I love being on stage and just, communicating and connecting with people. Um, but eventually, what led us to go to BraveWorks Inc. was when I was in film school and I was doing Madrigal at the same time. When I was in film school, I met my professor in cinematography. His name is Nap Amir. And I also interned under Kidlat Tahimik, who is the father of Philippine independent cinema. And those two very wise people. Sir Napamir is a veteran in the advertising world. And the first time that he put me in a set, in an advertising set, everybody was looking at like the equipment and okay, these lights are so amazing, and these cameras, like, wow, this is the shot. And I was in the client side, I'm like listening. So like, oh, are you okay with this shot? Oh, is this going to show the brand? I'm like, That really makes a difference, huh? And I was listening to them and I was asking my professor all of these questions that's not related to the cinematography of it. I was asking him
Like
questions
behind the
related,
scenes.
yeah, like
Yeah.
how do you decide this creative direction? How do you decide this? I'm like, and then he's like, you must be interested in advertising, huh? I'm like, actually, I didn't know, but I just got curious. So, I think to answer that question, I was following my curiosity. I
Yeah.
wasn't, I wasn't following like, because people will tell us, "Oh, just follow your passions." I wanted to follow music and all of that. But somehow that moment sparked a curiosity in me. And it was leading me to ask all of these questions that wasn't actually related just to the medium, but it was related to the benefit. It was related to, how is this entire output going to function for these people that you're
Right.
creating for? And basically that's what marketing and advertising became to me. So that's what sparked my first interest in advertising. And when it came to the creativity side of it, that's when I took my cue from Kidlat Tahimik, where he found the story in every single thing. Every single thing. We were we were looking at, different situations. It can be a very simple situation as a dog. We were in I remember we were on top of the Banawi rice terraces, and there were some they were doing like burning of the bones, with the bones of like 1021 bones from the Japanese war. And Kidlat Tahimik, he had this huge camera with him and he was following a dog. So you have this burning of the bones ritual, and he was following a dog. And I asked him, why were you following the dog and you weren't taking a video of like this
A more
ritual, this
important subject.
historic ritual happening right in front of us? And he was like, you know why? Because the media always portrays dogs as fan of bones. Like you always
True.
have a dog that's munching on bones or chasing after a
Yeah.
cat with bones.
Huh.
And then you're looking at this situation right now where literally this dog is in front of 1021 bones and they were being quote unquote cooked and he was turning away. Why do you think that is? And then I'm like, oh.
Oh my gosh,
He got
mind
all of that from
blown.
a dog, right? From that. So I'm like,
That's
you know,
storytelling right there.
yeah. So that's where, the love of advertising, like the love of creating something that makes an impact for people, and also using storytelling, and also kind of just looking at the stories in everyday life. The convergence of that together led me to my love for advertising. I was in corporate advertising for about 8 years before
Mhm.
we ventured into Brave Work. So I learned everything that I can in those 8 years when I was employed. And then eventually, when we got out of the rat race, so to speak, that's when the idea for Brave Works came in.
That's an amazing story right there for BraveWorks. And you mentioned two important mentors, I would say, that got you to love film and advertising.
Yeah.
How, where in your story did Chris Do come in? Because that was, I think, a couple of years ago when I met you, like really offline in your
Mhm.
event at Likha. Rizdo was there. And that was probably one of the reasons why I also joined, like aside from the recommendation from Miss Charlene. So that's where I met you. So that was 2 years ago. Where did Chrisdo come in your story?
Well, I believe it was 3 years into our business. So we started Braveworks in 2014. So we are exactly 10 years old this 2024.
Congratulations,
Thank you
diba?
so much. So Chris came into play. Actually, it was my husband who introduced me to him, to his videos, in 2017, because we were already in that place where we wanted to raise our
Mm.
prices. So we're like, how do we do this? And then that's when he started searching on YouTube, and then in comes a pricing video from Crystal. So I started following him from there. I started following his basically it was just his YouTube
Content,
content.
right? Oo.
Yeah, yeah. So I studied what I can from him. And then come 2021, because that helped us a lot in raising our prices, and we just took action from all of those free resources from the future.
Right.
And then eventually, come 2021, we had enough to invest in our education. So in 2021, I invested in the Future Pro Group. That's like the first encounter that I ever had with him, with a, in a call and introducing myself with shaking hands. And then in the same year, I joined the Business Bootcamp, which is one of his more high ticket
Mhm.
programs. And that's when I really got to know him better. And then the year after that, 2022, they asked me to work for the Future for them.
The name of his
I
brand, right?
Yeah, I
Future.
handled his social media, and I also handled the content marketing of the Future for their products, Business Bootcamp, which I'm an alumna of, and the Future Pro Group. So I handled their socials for about a year and a half. And yeah, in the same year in 2022, when they asked me to work for him, and that's when we started to, just really exchange
Wow.
messages, and we started this like mentor-mentee relationship, and then
Mm.
that's it. I asked him, "Can you come to the Philippines?"
That was brave, like
Okay.
really
All
brave
right.
words right there.
Like,
Inviting
all right,
someone
here we
so
go.
famous internationally, diba? And then bringing them to the Philippines. What got you
Yeah.
to say yes to that?
Yeah. Well, actually, it was born out of jealousy for me because
What?
it was
What
he had like a meetup in Miami in Florida, and I was sending him a message. I'm like, I'm so jealous of this. And then he goes, don't worry, when I'm in the Philippines, I'll see you. And then I said, well, Chris, what would it take for you to go to the Philippines? And then
Whoa.
he goes, um, well, someone has to invite me to an event. What if I make the event? And then that was
There.
it. So I put some of my friends over, and then, hey, let's make this thing. And we made the thing, and we flew him in, and that's the rest of the story.
That was really successful, like a whole venue of really, like amazing creatives in one room with Chris Do in it. So when I joined that a couple of years ago, it's like the energy of the room is like, oh my God, Gen Zs and young people, like a millennial like myself, like being in that room is like, wow, like this is the future. These people here are the future marketers, the future creatives, diba? But then you're able to elevate yourself beyond just 8 years into advertising and then building your company. You're now 10 years. And your core has always been film and then video.
Mhm.
How did you get into being a TikTok educator? This is like a very special people in the world. And
Yeah.
TikTok, a huge platform. Like, tell us, how did you get into this title, a TikTok educator?
I also started TikTok in 2021, and you guys can see like there's a pattern there's like a post-pandemic pattern here.
Yeah, yeah.
So a lot of people started on TikTok during the pandemic just to kind of ease their boredom and to to consume and to create.
Yeah.
And a lot of the creators that I know now on TikTok, they're like they don't even know that they're gonna get as big as they are now. They don't really know
Oh,
where the platform is gonna take them. All they wanted to do was express themselves, get their stresses and their boredom and their everybody. I think there's a little bit in, or maybe not a little bit, maybe there's a lot in us that really got affected and hit by the pandemic.
yeah.
So that's why we wanted to have like these creative juices flowing out of us. And it's kind of our way of coping for some of us. So a lot of the creators that I know now who's in the millions in following, when they started during the pandemic, they had no intentions of growing a brand or growing an audience. They just really wanted to express themselves. So, for me, it actually wasn't a need to express myself.
But you were there for
I
business for sure.
For sure, yeah. And I mentioned a couple of times here where that I'm in the human-centered side of things.
Right,
So
right.
when people started talking a lot about TikTok, I'm like, what is the fuss? What is happening here? So I created an account on TikTok. I didn't even make I went into TikTok just to study what the fuss was all about.
Right, yeah.
Why are
We're
people
marketers.
consuming
Of course,
these?
we're curious now about new
Yeah,
platforms. Right.
right. So I said, Okay, what's this all about? Why are people saying that, TikTok is the future, TikTok is this, TikTok is that? And I was trying to figure out a way on how we can leverage TikTok for our clients because we were
Right.
doing videos for clients. So like, okay, let's look at how we're gonna leverage this thing. And then I don't know, I think it's the dopamine in me, the the lack or the lack thereof. Um I started to create videos, if I'm gonna like scroll back to the first video that I ever I've ever done on TikTok, it's gonna I mean, I think everybody has that cringe
What was
zone.
it about?
It
What
was
were the
actually
content?
about lighting.
Lighting.
Telling people how to like a small adjustment in order to make your lighting better,
Ah,
something like that. And
That's a
I
good
wasn't even
start.
talking. I wasn't even talking. I was just like, okay, this is what a lot of people are doing. I had my phone in front of me. This is what a lot of people are doing. And this is what you should do. That's it. It's like a less
oh,
than 15 seconds of video. And then I'm like, first 5 minutes, it got 500 views. I'm like, oh my goodness. Let's see where this takes us. I posted a second video. It got like 200 views, and then it stopped. So I'm like, what is the fuss? What is happening here? So I started getting some training. By training, I mean I started to educate myself on how the algorithm of TikTok works. I started getting some one-on-one help just to kind of navigate the journey a little bit. I still had no intentions of being a TikTok creator. It's
mhm.
just more of business. I want to know how this entire thing works, like how the
Yeah.
wheels are turning. So that's it. And then come like 80-ish videos in, I had one video that went viral. So I tried and
Oh,
tested so many different things, and then I had one video that went viral. It got me like three, 4,000 followers overnight. And then I said,
overnight.
it's this is making an impact. So I think I'm gonna continue in this road here of being a creator. And then that's when I started taking it seriously. When I went into business boot camp with Chris, I said I want to build it's so he always mentions the importance of building a personal brand. So I started
Right.
building a personal brand on TikTok, and like 7 months later, I hit 100K on
Wow.
TikTok. So it was just being, continuous and being being consistently improving, knowing where I can improve and what is not working or what
Oh,
is not gonna work and then eventually is gonna work after. So there's a lot of
and
those nuances.
yeah, like more of an algorithm play. And I think Miss Charlene was the first one who mentioned you, actually. She's following you on what was that, Missy?
Yeah. No, I was consuming your content on TikTok, yes, during the towards the end of the pandemic, and then I also joined your community, which is something I wanted to ask. So through your video content, through your TikTok content, was that where the Brave Creators Lab was born? Was it from your interactions with other entrepreneurs, freelancers? Create Tell us about where the Brave Creators Lab came in.
The Brave Creators Lab came in when I saw the need for people to learn how to communicate better. So it
Mm.
wasn't even video marketing. I mean, for me, video was just a medium.
Mm.
But eventually, when I started creating my first course or my first program, I did it for free just to kind of get insights from the people that I wanted to help. So I helped 6 beta students for free, and I was hopping on a call with them every week for like 12 weeks as I
That's
kind of
dedication. Wow.
yeah, like 12 weeks. Every week I sat with them. And then, they got some interesting results. Like one of them got 0 to 100K in 4 months. Another was from 300 to 300K in a year. Some of them suddenly got brand deals. Some of them sold out their launches and stuff like that. So, okay, I must be doing something right. And
So you
then
help them with their personal branding as creators.
yes, as
Right.
personal branding and then how to leverage their personal brand for their business.
Mhm.
So, there are many different streams to personal branding and how you can earn from a personal brand. So I kind of touched into all of those different streams for them. So for me, that was where the idea of the Brave Creators Lab came in. It was not even the Brave Creators Lab at that point. It was just one program, which is called the Brave Video Creators Intensive. That was the entire name of it.
That's
And
it.
then getting into my second or third cohort, I'm like, you know what, we can make this a thing. So we started, getting the ball rolling. We created the Brave Creators Lab. We wanted to make sure that there are some free resources for people who just for us to extend access to people who need it. And then we started to create, lower ticket programs and then higher ticket programs. So at least something that caters to everyone in the creative field, whether you're a beginner or you're an expert or advanced or pro at what you're doing. I believe there's always something new to learn, especially in the ever-changing realm of video marketing. So,
Super.
and even personal branding. So that's where, the rest, as we say, is history.
Amazing. And I don't know if it's okay with you, but would love to learn some tips on video marketing. There are a lot of newbie agency owners out there. Maybe some of them are listening in. And of course, the team here on the call could really appreciate some tips on how to improve our TikTok marketing. So, any tips from the Kia Abrera?
I think the number one tip that I would, I mean, you can listen to all of these different tips from different people saying, give value and um understand your audience and the usual stuff that or find a niche, the usual stuff that we learn. I think the number one thing that I would always tell my students is that when you're shooting a video, remember that you're not talking to a lot of people. Even if it's mass media, you're talking to one person.
Mm.
The camera, you think of the camera as the person's eye. You look at it, you look at them, and you're not performing. You're not how to do video marketing in 3 ways. You're not doing that. And the main reason why people resonate with you is because you're turning every single content piece into a conversation. That's why when you speak, when you write your scripts, it's not a framework as to how to do this for this without this, right? Usually we're getting sent
Yeah.
those frameworks, we're getting sent those scripts. It's not actually that. You have to write the way that you speak. So when I did digital storytelling a couple of months ago, and when people started to write the way that they speak, it became very natural for them to speak in front of the camera. So you have to write the way that you speak. When they started reading their stuff in front of people, the first time that they did it, when they started reading their stuff, we're like, I want you to edit that because I'm going to ask them if is this the way that you speak to a friend? Is this the exact way that you're speaking to a friend? If a friend was in need and they're asking you about this, is this the way that you're going to answer them? Okay, here is how you do social media management, right?
You can see
That's not
the,
the way you
the
speak,
glaze on the eyes.
right? Yeah, and when you're reading from a teleprompter and you're doing this,
Mm.
connection is not there. So a lot of people will forget that when you communicate, you have to connect. If there's no connection in the communication, there is no communication. So the biggest mistake that a lot of people make is thinking that communication has taken place where it has not. So if there is no connection at all, there is no communication. And that's why a lot of people scroll past your videos because you're not communicating with them. You're reading off a script, you're trying to beat the algorithm, you're trying to do all of these tips and tricks, but the number one thing that you're forgetting is connecting. That's why everything is conversation. And if you truly want to understand what your audience needs, ask them and then doubt them.
Ask
That's
them and
some-
then doubt them.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
That's something actually that I learned from Chris when it comes. He also like gives me tips on critical thinking, because sometimes people will tell you their problem, but it's actually not a problem. So
ah,
when they come to you, for example, with a symptom, like they, for example, someone will come to me and say, I want to go viral on TikTok.
right. Yeah.
And then I'm like, viral on TikTok? Do you really want to go viral on TikTok? Why? And then why? And then why? And then suddenly
Five whys. Yeah.
it's not even it's not even them going viral on TikTok. They just want to hit the right audience. It's a very different thing, right? So
Right.
then if you're um if you're kind of, let me see, if you're constructing your questions or the videos that you have, if you're constructing your titles in your audience's language, usually that works really, really well. And then you turn it into a conversation. Even if it's just you talking, you're looking them straight in the eye and saying, "Hey, you're not a failure. Why do you keep
Oh,
saying that you're a failure?"
I
That's
remember
what my best performing
Steve
videos are,
Burns, right?
right? And sometimes
Yeah.
it's stuff that they say like out of their mouth. Like, you're 20 and you still don't know what you want to do in your life. Because a lot of people are like that, and then suddenly you hit it with, but that's supposed to be what's happening. You're not supposed to figure out at 20 what you're gonna do with your life. People are 70 and they don't know what to do with their life. So you see, I mean, it's the same thing that Gary Vaynerchuk is doing. It's a conversation. Ryan Pineda is doing that.
Mm.
Conversation. So people who are actually making it really big on social media, the, they
So
just
it's like,
made it a conversation.
right.
Human
So it's
centered.
like acknowledge and then ask the question back to them. Like, is it
Yeah.
really a question? Something like that.
Yeah, and that's also why it's working. That kind of quote unquote format is working, because when you're doubting their problems, it's gonna provoke some thoughts in them, and it's gonna elicit a response. And a lot of people also will tell you that look at your top performing videos, or look at the top performing videos of people in your niche and replicate that. I always tell people that no, you don't actually replicate that. You replicate the way that people responded. So if people are saying, you know what, this made me cry, this made me think, what is something in your arsenal, in your experience,
No,
that's
make people
actually going
cry.
to make them cry? Do you have a story that's going to make them think? Or do you have an
Right.
experience? You have experiences somewhere that's going to make them rethink the way that they usually do things? And that's why some of my best performing content is like, stop picking a niche. It's not about picking a niche. It's about finding it. There's a difference. So, you know, and a second tip also that I tell people that kind of, shake their minds a little bit, is I tell them to stop sharing expertise.
Yeah, that's like cliche advice, right?
Yeah.
Your
And the
expertise.
reason for this, I tell people not to share expertise is because a lot of them will say that not many people will listen to me because I'm not an expert. I don't have expertise to share. I'm going to run out of topics. There's going to be someone who's going to tell me that I'm a fraud. I have imposter syndrome because I'm not an expert. So what I tell them is stop sharing expertise, start sharing experience. Just share your experience, because nobody is going to invalidate experiences that you have. Unless you're lying about it, of course. But share your
Made
experience.
up experiences. Come on.
Yeah. So
It's hard to
like
do.
you start sharing your experience and then share the lesson through that experience. Even if you're sharing tips and tricks, even if you're sharing tutorials, you can say, this is how I do it. You can try it, but this is how I did it. So this is, I'm going to share with you a dashboard that I created for myself. I'm going to share with you a tool that works for me because I have ADHD, and this is like the only productivity tool that I need, a to-do list.
Mm.
Right? So it's, sometimes it's going to help people, sometimes it's not. And it's not going to invalidate you. And it kind of gets rid of that imposter syndrome
Right.
because you're just sharing what you know, you're sharing what you've done. That's it. It's as simple as that. And people don't need to overthink it.
Speaking of overthinking, I think that's one of the reasons why I'm afraid of the camera because I barely do any of this, like face-to-face video on. Miss Shirley knows that. Like I am afraid of being in front of a camera, right? Like I can do calls, yes, but like camera off. And I think it's a requirement where you have to be really in front of the camera, talk and be confident. Like you have to have a face when you do all these like TikTok videos. Like, is it a trend later on to have like faceless videos? Like
Actually, the
that's
faceless
going to
videos are
be
working now.
right.
There's a lot of ways for you to do faceless videos. It's just an advantage if you show your face because the trust factor goes up.
Right. True. Yeah.
Because, people can associate. Um, if I'm going to touch a little bit on human behavior here.
Mhm.
People don't actually trust experts. They trust people who have their best interests at heart
Oh.
or who seem to have their best interests at heart. And the face is one of the biggest signals of that.
Mm.
So if they can see that you're genuinely, through your face, through your body language, if they can see that you're genuinely caring for them, just not just in the way that not just in what you're saying, but in the way that you deliver and the way that you look them in the quote unquote eye, that ups actually the trust factor. So there is an ongoing trend of faceless reels. I think this is something that people are doing as a starting point.
Mm.
Most people are doing it as a starting point just to get like the creative muscle, flowing and going. But one of the things that I also tell my students is if they're scared of the camera, I let them do this thing called record for you,
Mm.
where I ask them to do like a mini video blog of themselves without the intention to post.
Mm.
Just like record yourself 21 days. Maybe it's a new book that you read. There's a new quote that really hit you the most, and you're like, you know what, I did this because you start speaking in a language. If
You're
you're comfortable doing Bisaya or Tagalog, just say something in front of the camera, and you don't have to post it.
It's about being
It's just
comfortable with the camera in your
yeah,
face and speaking
yeah,
into.
with a different kind of eye looking at you. you know so if it's a different kind of eye, it's like, I don't know, I mean, do these people really understand me? I'm so scared. Sometimes they would say that in their video logs. I'm so scared. I don't even know what I'm doing. And it kind of gets the fears out. And then suddenly, sometimes for them, but you know what? This fear, it doesn't really make sense for me. Suddenly they're like questioning even their fears. This is not so bad. Like on the 20th day of them doing it, it's not so bad. Maybe I'll post this.
until they get the confidence to
Until
actually
they just get comfortable.
yeah.
For me, it's not even about confidence yet. It's just about comfort. And then the next step of comfort. So for me, the comfort zone is something that expands. So when you're not comfortable on camera yet, you work to make it a comfortable area. And then the next doable step is for you to post something with your face in the camera. So that expands the comfort zone a little bit, and then expand again to expand your comfort zone again, and expand your comfort zone. So it's not making a leap from what you're comfortable to something that you're not comfortable. It's just an expansion of it. And that's why it's very important for people to have like a core zone. So when it comes to your core zone, what is something that you're comfortable talking about? And start with that. If you're comfortable talking about, your favorite pen, go ahead and talk about your favorite pen on video. Even if you don't post it, talk about it. That's it. And then expand, expand, expand. That's it.
I love that. I think I'm gonna try the comfort zone expansion first before posting anything. So I need to go
Yeah.
beyond that. I have, I mean, Miss Charlene, I think I found my video mentor. I'm gonna join.
Yes.
I'm gonna join your courses, definitely. I love it. But speaking of like face to face, like expressing yourself in front of the camera, taking videos. Now let's talk about AI because I think that's where the technology is going. It's like getting a copy of your face, how you talk, you're following your mouth, and then just training a model on that so that you can create more videos. I've seen a lot of people, a lot of builders on X doing exactly the same thing where they copy you and then create deep fakes of you. So you don't really have to like look in front of the camera and like say something. You just generate a video
Mhm.
of
Mhm.
that using AI. So what do you think of AI in video marketing?
Right now, I haven't been in that level where I use like the deep fake
Yeah,
technology. Just because I feel like I've already gotten a sense of the comfort that I have in front of the camera. But for a lot of people, usually it can be a starting point. But remember that even if we're going to go back to the definition of AI, which is artificial
right.
intelligence. And artificial means that it's basically mimicking human
That's true.
quality,
That's
right?
true.
So if there is a mistake that people need to completely rely on AI to do everything for them. And that's why they're not expanding this. They're not expanding the brain. They're not expanding their own intelligence so that they can train AI to mimic their own intelligence. I
Exactly.
do believe that as it is with any other tool, AI is simply an amplifier of what's already there. You know
If
how to
it's
command
not
it?
there, you can amplify
Yeah,
anything.
absolutely. That's it. It's only going to, take the shape of its container.
I love
Going
that.
back to solid liquid gas in grade 3. So it's just going to take its command from you. If you don't know how to command it, you don't know how to steer it to the right direction, it's not gonna yield the results that you want.
Right.
So for me, the way that I use AI is it's just to simplify my workflow.
Mhm.
That's it for me. And I don't, because I'm a writer at heart. In my communication, my baseline is writing. So when I use AI for writing, I don't copy paste from AI because it's gonna
Yeah.
overuse, like unleash,
Unleash, elevate. Oh my God.
elevate, supercharge, game changing. So all of these things are like, I'm so tired of those words. So then I would still make my own edits and still make it my own. So for me, um, I think the key to using AI is for it to complement the things that you're already doing well. So the generative AI, even for designers, because my husband is a designer, so he also uses like the generative AI. For example, in
Journey,
Adobe, in
Valley.
Journey, yeah. Um, but the output is still going to be based on his command. So
Mhm.
you still have to have these like fundamentals of design, and the more advanced you are as a designer, the better you can prompt it. And
Ex-
it's the same, I believe, with writers and people who are in video marketing. The way that you describe, for example, your audience to, let's say, Chat GPT, the way that you describe your audience as a more advanced marketer is going to be different than the way that you describe the way that a novice will describe their target market. So and then it's gonna spit out different different outputs. So altogether, you still need to elevate your thinking. You still need to elevate your critical thinking skills, your strategic skills. And AI, it's just they're there to do like the scut work.
Mhm.
So
True.
one of the things also that I do is because I have ADHD. So sometimes it's hard for me to organize my thoughts. So that's what I'm gonna ask AI to do. Hey, ChatGPT, I need help organizing my thoughts. This is what I want to say, and then I'm gonna type everything that I want to say. Sometimes it's not gonna be cohesive. I'm just gonna
True.
type it, not gonna edit it, and then boom. I also have constraints. I command it with constraints. So no, no purple prose, no using of the words unleash, whatever, whatever, whatever.
Yeah, true.
That list just goes longer. And then
I have that list too.
and then I say like, don't address them as hey friend, hey creative game changer,
Game
address
changer.
them
Great. That's a good one.
right.
Let's
So
add that on the list.
Yeah.
creative game changers. So let's do it together. They always have that at the end, like in the calls to action. And then they're gonna help me organize my thoughts. So once I see that, I'm like, okay, this is good. I'm gonna edit it my own way. And then it makes the flow easier. It makes the workflow easier for me that I'm able to write a newsletter in like 11 minutes compared to the 1 hour, 2 hours that it takes me to write a newsletter before. So I think it's just really to ease our workflow.
To ease the workflow, to make your like co-pilot, you would say.
Yeah. Yeah.
System.
Like your
Yeah.
assistant. Yeah. So you don't want to make it do like the strategic, the creative work because it's never going to really imitate your brain completely. At the end of the day, it's still very important for you. It's always going to give the person who's using AI, who also upgrades their brain, are the ones who are going to have an edge.
I love that. So you have to upgrade your brain and upgrade your tools.
Yeah.
Diba?
So when you
So
upgrade your tools, you upgrade your brain. This is part of the tools.
do you think
So, Kia,
wait,
sorry.
yeah.
For example, when you're recruiting or choosing a team, no, for in your business, people, how do you think it is at this point in time? Do you think it is mandatory for all your team members or whoever you choose to collaborate with? Is it mandatory for them to be proficient in
Yeah.
using AI tools?
I would say that it would be mandatory for me, or it would be mandatory for people to have at least a basic knowledge of AI,
Mm,
AI
Yeah.
tool. And I don't always, I mean, there's always an advantage to proficiency, but for us, it's so much better for me to hire someone who is teachable. They know the tools, but they also have the initiatives to the self initiative to better themselves.
Yeah.
And I know that I can teach them rather than, someone who's proficient, but they, they have so much pride that they don't want to take instruction anymore. So, if someone is proficient and they're very open to learning, that will be even better. But the mandatory thing for me is that they're not averse to AI.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's time for the fun part. Miss C.
oh, okay.
Fun questions.
So,
Let's
okay,
go.
so we have towards the end of the episode, we have just some rapid fire questions, Miss Kia.
Okay, I'm ready.
So, all right. Let's start with the most on theme, AI or human creativity.
Human creativity,
Focused work or multitasking.
focus work,
Nice. This one, digital detox or always online.
digital detox,
Early bird or night owl.
night owl.
How about an emoji that describes your day today?
Um, that emoji with the hearts.
Mhm.
That's cute.
Okay, this one, I'm so curious. What trend do you think is overhyped right now? Whether it's marketing trend, any kind of trend, what do you think is overhyped?
Pick a niche.
A
What's that?
Pick a
pick a
niche.
niche and game changer.
I see. Okay. Game changer.
This one, what is one skill every professional should know in 2024?
Writing.
Okay, and last one, a content recommendation, whether it's a book or a course, a film, song, anything.
Content recommendation. Oh, just one?
Feel free, whatever you want.
Okay. Watch Shark Tank and Criminal Minds. I have a reason for that if you want me to expound. But
Yes.
um, reason for criminal minds is that they study human behavior.
Right.
You learn a lot from them. I mean, they dive into how criminals think, but it's still applicable in every way. The way that they describe behavior and the way that they solve the crimes. For me, it's the process. I love it. Shark Tank, very straightforward. Book, The Practice by Seth Godin, and Hidden Potential by Adam Grant, my top two at the moment. And podcast, Huberman Lab and Adam Grant, Rethinking, and of course, The Future.
Lovely.
that should
Thank you, Miss
yeah,
Kia.
I love it. And I think it should be a quote. To think like a marketer is to think like a criminal.
Oh,
You think like a behavioral profiler.
Exactly.
They're profilers.
Behavior
Yeah,
profile.
yeah.
That
Not
was
actually to
super
think,
fun.
or
Yeah.
to think like a marketer is to think about how criminals work. How
How
criminals'
criminals
minds work.
think. How to override human
But for
behavior.
me, it's
All
like
of
it's
that.
really like thinking like a behavioral profiler.
Okay.
Yeah.
Noted. All right. Sige. So this has been a super fun episode. Yeah, Kia, let us know where to follow you. What's coming for you this 2024? Any exciting projects, events, courses that you wanna plug away to our listeners here at the pod.
Well, you guys can always find me on TikTok. I still drop one video every single day. My podcast is also relaunching sometime in June. It's called the Be Brave Create podcast. And then the only active course that I have right now is the Business Launchpad, where I teach creatives. It's like a 12-week mini MBA where I teach creatives the business side of their creativity. So if that's something that you want to learn to launch or relaunch your business in 2024 and beyond, go ahead and join us. And it's all over my it's all over my social. So you can follow me on Facebook, on Instagram at Kia Abrera, in all of my social platforms. That's it.
And awesome. Thank you, Miss Kia. So that's Miss Kia Alvarez Abrera from Braveworks Inc. So please do follow her on all her socials, on TikTok, most especially. And yeah, looking forward to see where you would grow your agency in the coming years. So thank you so much and stay tuned for more episodes of Dashed and Wicked Thoughts. Thanks, everyone.
And that was the latest episode of Wicked Thoughts. Make sure to subscribe and join the host on The Wicked at thewckd.com. Thank you to our sponsors, the company Cebu, Third Team Media, Dasho Work, Dasho AI, and DashoContent, a content team for your marketing department. Tune in for more wicked conversations right here at Wicked Thoughts.